Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Welcome to Meeting Malcolmus, a pavement podcast. Hey, it's JD here, and somebody wants to fight. Is it you? Let's fight. Let's fight to the death. I'll go first. It's that kind of day. Little drab, little dreary. And quite frankly, I'm sort of, sad that we're exiting this chrysalis phase of the podcast. And while we'll now be a beautiful butterfly, it's I'll always have memories of being that caterpillar crawling through the tracks of those first 3 EPs. 'Cause strap in, it's about to get real busy and pretty fucking awesome. We're here every week, and by we I mean me, and I'm covering the catalog track by track, week over week, of seminal indie rock band Pavement, with an overarching goal of someday perhaps meeting Malcolmus. And when that day comes, we'll burn the whole shit house down. So today we are wrapping up our look at Perfect Sound Forever. And we're going to do that by listening to a real short track. So I don't have a whole lot to say this week, but I do want to share an email that I got. I'm pretty fortunate to have, the group of you that listen to this every week. You're so kind and thoughtful sending these messages to me. And Ross is no exception. His message goes as follows. Hey JD, my name is Ross Bentz. I'm 36, from Scotland, and Pavement have been my favorite band for about 15 years. I love your podcast. Now, I want to say something here. So far, I've received no emails where people are like, hey man, read this on the air. Your podcast is a pile of shit, and I hate you, and everything about it. So I don't want anybody thinking I'm cherry picking these messages. I'm reading what I get. If you write one that tells me to burn in hell, I guess I'll read that one too. Anyway, I've been enjoying the journey and have helped spread the word. I've wanted to tell this story for years. I just never had a reason to tell or anyone willing to listen. This is the story about how Pavement became my favorite band. I first became interested in Pavement just after the millennium, when a friend had bought Terror Twilight and hated it. This is very similar to my story. He passed it on to me, and it really took me by surprise. I didn't love it straight away, but I would continually go back to it. Being a teenage stoner around the time, I knew of Pavement, but not very well. I had heard 2 or 3 of the, quote, hits while staying up watching 120 Minutes on MTV UK, parenthetically, which I now realize was pretty tame compared to the US version, on parentheses. Someone will have to explain that to me because I'm from Canada. We had much music and we didn't have a reasonable facsimile of 120 minutes. Anyway, around this time, I went to see a rocking British band called Reuben at a fairly famous venue in Glasgow called King Tut's Wah Wah Hut. Parenthetically, I think it's where Oasis first got signed. Unparenthetic. I saw Slanted Enchanted on their bar jukebox, that's fucking rad. I paid £1 to play 5 random songs, and despite barely being able to hear them, I thought, I need to get deeper with these guys. Fast forward a few months, and I'm shopping in the nearest large town, Kirkcaldy, in MVC, a defunct music chain store. I see the Crooked Rain re-release, but it's a full price at around £22, or quid, as they might say. Ha 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 ha. Which I'm reluctant to pay. I walk around the corner to an independent record store, Sleeves, which is also now gone, where I find a second-hand copy for a $5, which is British slang for £5, I'm told. I buy it, read the extensive liner notes on the bus ride home, and that night, a Saturday, I refuse to hit the town with my friends because I need to listen to this. I use the excuse that I have to paint a wall, which I did, and settle. Well, that's very honest of you. That's very good. Would have been shitty if your friends came over and were like, show us this wall you painted, man. And you're like, dudes, I've got some bad news for you. I just skipped out. No walls were painted here. Anyway, he settles down to experience, I love it, experience Crooked Rain. I get the paint and the brushes ready, crack a couple of beers, and take a bong hit. Within minutes, I'm sat on the edge of the couch just staring at the stereo, unable to process what I'm hearing. I'd always had an idea inside my head of what the perfect band should sound like. They should rock without being rock. They should be wordy without being obvious. They should be acoustic without making it soft, and I was finally hearing it. After that, I took the full journey. This was the re-release era, so I caught up with Wowie and Corners. I can't remember in which order. As an aside, on the day that Brighten the Corners re-release came out, I bought it, then immediately drove 2 hours across Scotland to watch a, quote, soccer match. I think that's on my behalf that you called it soccer. Since I was listening to Pavement instead of the radio, I didn't find out until I reached the stadium that the match had been cancelled. Oh, man. So I listened to Disc 2 on the drive home. That's awesome. About a year later, I'm sitting in second year university maths class when I get a text from a friend saying, all uppercase, Pavement are back. I immediately pack up my shit and run home, manage to bag 3 tickets so me and 2 friends get to see what I consider the greatest band ever at what I also consider to be the greatest venue ever, the legendary Barrel Ends in Glasgow. They were incredible. I don't know what else to say. I still listen to Pavement, probably daily. They are still my favorite band, although a few years ago I got into Built to Spill, and they got very close. I'm patiently waiting for a Terror Twilight reissue, you and the rest of us, and hopefully another reunion. I'm not so sure about that. I've given up on any new material, but I no longer need it. Again, love your podcast, love your vibe. Use this as you like. Thanks. Ross Benz. Isn't that great? Thanks for sharing that, Ross. We have such a similar journey to this point. And it's wonderful that you found somebody that you could share it with. And for the rest of you, if you want to share your stories of how you met Pavement, you can do so at info@meetingmalcolmist.com. gmail.com. Much appreciate. Much appreciate. So now let's move the needle to the final groove in Perfect Sound Forever. This little 2-idea song called Krell Vid-User. And see what we can come up with. The first idea to me has a real Conduit for Sale vibe, whether or not that was the idea and they laid it down and it later became Conduit for Sale. I can't say for sure, but it's definitely there from a rhythmic and chord perspective. It's just not built upon. And then you get a hard pause and you go into this more produced, which is to say, it's just got a sharper sound. It's a more refined sound end part. And then as you start nodding your head to the rhythm, the rug is pulled out from under you and it's over. It's April of 1991 and it's over. That's it. This is a band that is highly touted on Drag City. There's more to come. But when is it coming? How do I get it? And will it be relevant by the time it gets into my hands? Things are changing. The LA glam metal scene is going to take just a couple more turns at the plate to try and be the representative voice of mainstream rock and roll before the Pacific Northwest takes hold. There's enough schmaltz on the radio to turn anybody away from that part of the mainstream. There are bands that are doing things differently. The Pixies, Mudhoney, Nirvana. It's about to get hot. White hot. So where does our band Pavement fit in? Well, I guess we have to wait and see. But for now, this is Krell Vid-User on Medium Alchemists, a Pavement podcast. Meeting Malcolmus, a pavement podcast, is a weekly affair. You can listen, share, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about the show, go to www.meetingmalcolmus.com. I tweet and Instagram at Meeting Malcolmus. Steven, are you listening?
Need parts now? O'ReillyAuto.com offers in-store pickup, same-day home delivery, or next-day home shipping. Get more parts your way at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh, 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 O'Reilly